two, one. We're back.
We're back again. Episode 8.
Episode 8, another Stay in Your Lane episode. My name is Namir Aldura, co-host, the man.
Laith Albazargan.
And today is a special day. We have not only a very good friend of mine, but one of the smartest people that I know, Dr. Nicolas Mouawad, joining us from the US of A. What's up, my man?
What's up, guys? How's it going?
Good, man.
Going good.
Really good to see you guys. Yeah, really good to see you again, man. It's been a really long time since we last seen you, man.
Yeah, I know it's been tough. We're stuck on this side of the world. Now we can't travel. Now we can't do nothing. Things are changing. It's a different world out there.
It is. It's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. So we got to do our usual Corona update. Today is May 9th. There is 4 million cases.
Just cracked 4 million.
275,000 deaths. Now, since we're talking to Dr. Nick based in the US, we know that the US numbers now are getting pretty crazy. 1.3 million.
1.3 million.
80,000 deaths. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's
unbelievable.
It's tough. It's been really tough. We've been trying to follow the numbers, and they just keep getting bigger and bigger despite all the attempts here from public health officials and so forth.
Yeah.
This thing is real, guys. This thing is real.
For sure.
I'm trying to stay optimistic. I don't think it's the end of the world or anything like that, but this thing is legit. It's real. It's here to stay, and we all got to do our part.
For sure.
To keep things going.
For sure. Look, before we get started, it'd be cool to get an introduction so people can know what kind of doctor you are, where you're practicing, just to kind of get a sense of you. So please, man, do the introduction. I thought about doing it, but I didn't want to mess it up. So you know what I mean?
I'm just a simple guy. My name is Nick Mouawad. I'm the chair, actually the chief of vascular and endovascular surgery up in McLaren in Michigan. And basically I'm involved in dealing with blood vessels, bleeding and clotting. Stuff like stroke, aneurysms, gangrene, things along those lines. I also I'm the vice chair of the Department of Surgery, so I help oversee the Department of Surgery and the other specialties as well. So it's been keeping us busy. I also help manage we run a 14 hospital health system, and I chair the cardiovascular research for the health system. So we're involved in a lot of groundbreaking, either medical or device-related opportunities. It's been pretty cool. It's busy.
And you're also publishing as well, isn't it? You've been involved in a few studies and a few journals, things like that as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We do. I work in a lot of, like I said, national, international research. We present internationally. Actually, I just got back before this whole COVID thing. I was actually in Australia on Australia showcase, kind of doing some teaching some stuff there and doing research there. But yes, work on publications, book chapters, try to help the next generation of doctors, to take over at some point, I guess.
Amazing. And then at the same time as doing your doctor thing, doing the writing thing, you're also an assistant professor as well, isn't it? Right?
Yeah. So I think
how do you manage your time, man? What the hell?
How do you do it?
What the hell?
I don't sleep very much. I'm like a 3.5, 4 hour kind of a sleep guy. Which is like, so I don't know. I guess it's just, I don't know.
It is what it is. You just manage,
yeah.
Man. You just manage.
Amazing stuff.
So look, obviously, at the top of the list of the questions, really is what has happened now since this Corona pandemic has hit the streets of the US. In your experience now, so your day in, day out, how has that transformed because of all these things that are happening? Are you seeing it? Are you experiencing it? Has it changed your daily schedule? What's the impact?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. It's changed everything. I really believe we're going to end up living in what we call this new normal. Just for the talk today, I'm actually taking off, but we run around with these everywhere. I mean, we got masks everywhere we go. In the hospital, it's a requirement. Around the community, it's kind of required as well. They've actually extended our quarantining, our stay-at-home orders till the end of the month, and they keep pushing it every few weeks. It's one of these things. You got to be a citizen of the earth to deal with this. I know there's a lot of conversation about economy and getting things back to normal. And believe me, nobody wants that more than us or all of us. But
Definitely.
it's not a business decision. This is a medical decision. And you guys are seeing it. You can see the numbers. I mean, we just topped 80,000 deaths here in the U.S. and you're talking that's in 6 weeks.
Yeah. Wow.
You know, just over 6 weeks. I mean, those numbers are crazy. And I'm doing a lot of, referring to a lot of American things, but like it's more than the Vietnam War, deaths in the Vietnam War. These numbers are real,
Yeah.
and we keep talking about the disease and the ventilators and all the personnel, but I could show you rooms and rooms and rooms of bodies. Nobody wants to see that.
Yeah.
The stuff is real.
So in your like centers that you have, the 14 hospitals that you're a part of that network, are you guys receiving COVID patients in your hospitals?
We are. Some hospitals are busier than others, and that's all based primarily on geographic location.
Yeah.
So the bigger towns, the bigger cities, for us, let's say down in Detroit, which is a little bit of kind of an hour or so away, they're seeing a lot more than we are up here. But it's all based geographically for sure.
Okay. So now, in terms of how you're spreading your time, now I'm assuming that a lot of the elective cases now are being put on hold. Are you building a backlog now, or are you just as busy doing your core activities as you were before?
So once the Surgeon General back in March put I don't want to say an order, but the guideline that elective surgery should be postponed,
Yeah.
We essentially stopped that completely. So we've had really no surgery whatsoever. Things that we would have operated on relatively soon previously, now we're not. We're only doing pure emergencies. So if you're coming into the emergency room and it's a matter of your life or you're going to lose your limb, then you're going to get an operation. And if that's not the case, then we delay it and postpone it. And I think that's important. I think a lot of people are really worried or upset that their cases are getting canceled. And they're not canceled per se. I think terminology is important. They're being deferred. They're being postponed until things are safe. And you still need an operation. It still needs to happen. Yeah. It's a matter of whether or not it's safe to do so right now. A couple of weeks ago,
like that's a concern of mine. Like now, is that impacting the lives of people? Actually, because it's that debate, right? So you touched on something. You said that it's real, and we know it's real. We see the numbers. But now, everything's a trade-off, right? Every action is causing an outcome. And with that outcome, there's good and bad, right? So we do this lockdowns. We're postponing elective cases. How is that impacting the health system as a whole, right? Like, so we know, okay, we're controlling the outbreak of the pandemic, but how much people are being damaged, how much life, how much
outside of the pandemic,
illness outside of the pandemic. Exactly.
Excellent point. I mean, we're very concerned about that as well. I mean, in cardiovascular care, we always talk about time is tissue. The longer you wait, the worse things can happen. So we're very, very concerned about that. And as a matter of fact, I've been involved in helping develop some registries along with a variety of other doctors and surgeons around the country, in the U.S. that is. We're actually internationally as well. We have some colleagues in Sweden and in Italy, and we've created these registries of saying, hey, these people got postponed. Did they have any bad outcomes? And it's interesting. We're actually starting to slowly open up back for elective surgeries, actually starting this past week and moving to next week. Around 25 to 30% increase in capacity per week. So we're hoping within 4 or 5 weeks we'll be back up to regular. But the problem is that even though we're ready, the patients don't want to come in.
And that's the other point, right? Are the patients prepared to go through it, man?
We're calling and telling them, hey, okay, we're ready. We have protocols in place. We can make this as safe as we possibly can. And they're like, hey, can we wait some more? Can we wait some more? So I think it's on both ends. I mean, they don't want to come to clinic, understandably so. I mean, I can understand that. And they're actually requesting that we postpone their surgery even further. Now, even though we do that, is that turning out into a poor patient outcome or to their detriment? We're still trying to figure that all out, of course.
Okay, so there is a balance. There's two types of patients. You have the patients that are, you said, we're getting pissed off or saying, what the hell, we want to come in and do our surgery. We don't want to delay it. And then you have another set of patients that are saying, well, I'm not ready to go into a hospital right now with all this that's happening. How's that skew? Like, how's that ratio split? Is Are you seeing majority in the first scenario or majority in the back end of that?
Yeah, so a good point. Again, in our specialty, time is a really big issue. So they're not delaying as much as we thought for us, but we're seeing that definitely in other specialties. Tonsils, cataracts, elective plastic stuff. That stuff can wait, and they don't really want to go in with that. But you're talking, heart problems, gangrene, stroke. You can't exactly wait. Our bigger issue, like I said, is people that are having those problems still don't want to come in, and we're like,
Yeah.
yo, you got to come in. Like, you have to come in. Like, you can't not come in. Like, well, we really want to not come in. And I'm like, yeah, that's not exactly a smart decision. So I think it's on a it's on a case by case basis. I mean, and we're slowly getting more people coming in, obviously.
So in your line in the vascular, see, I'm really intrigued, right? Like, healthcare is obviously really important to me. It's something that I've recently developed a keen interest in, and I've really like.
It's because you're getting older.
I'm getting older, but no, also from a learned perspective, right? Is that I chose to do a master's in health policy at Imperial. That's why I keep joking around and saying I'm a master now, right? And I am a master.
Nice.
I am a master for everyone to know.
There's a cape on the way.
But it's really it's really intriguing for me to kind of understand, where do you think, like, I think obviously the technological development or movement now has been accelerated because of the problems with COVID. Where do you see that, or how do you see that impacting in terms of remote monitoring, in terms of all sorts of different kind of devices that are sending messages to physicians to try to reduce that interaction and to try to cope with it? Like, are you seeing that change happening quicker? Are there things that are on your radar that you see, that may be interesting for people to know, that's going to be coming into execution?
So I think it's a double-edged sword. I think it's a double-edged sword. Yes, we're seeing obviously a lot more remote or virtual visits. Actually, when it comes to even being compensated, they're actually reimbursing you for those visits like you're seeing them in person. So we've moved to a lot of virtual type in referrals, if you will, consultations.
Yeah.
As you can see, a lot of us are doing things via Zoom now, or GoToMeeting, or whatever other platforms out there. So it's interesting because we never thought that we would be able to function just doing everything virtually, and now it makes a lot more sense. You have less exposure, you have less interaction per se.
Yeah.
It's also costs less. You don't have to fly people or drive people back and forth. They don't have to drive their cars back and forth. In some of our smaller towns, just getting gas and driving back and forth is a problem. So this works out well for a lot of people. I think that the televisit connectivity is fantastic, but a lot of people, at least that we take care of, don't even have like camera phones. So we do a lot of stuff via phone calls to their house lines. There's a lot of things, but I caution everybody about that, because now all of a sudden people think it's okay to treat a patient without actually touching them.
I was going to ask you that question. Yeah, there has to be some.
That's the double-edged sword. Is everyone, you think you can figure it out just by looking at a scan or something, and you don't. There's no patient interaction. There's no actually examining the patient, listening to their heart or whatever. You just base it all on imaging.
Yeah.
And so I think that doctor-patient rapport is challenged in this situation.
Interesting. So would you consider yourself as a proponent or a supporter of it, or not? Like, you've just given the double-edged sword issue. There's good and bad. Where do you sit on it personally?
Yeah, well,
personally,
good.
Putting you on the spot.
You put me on the spot. I don't think we'll ever be able to replace a doctor-patient relationship in person. I mean, I find that. I mean, if you're gonna, if for instance, I'll actually pose it back towards you. Let's just say you need to have a major operation. Let's just say I have to open up your chest.
Yeah.
You're okay with me telling you, hey, on the phone, on the Zoom video, hey, by the way, you need to have your chest cracked open. I'll see you next Monday. Are you? It's a little different than I got to remove this mole or something like that. So or we have to do this or that. So I still think that the in-person visit is key. Obviously, we have to make sure that patients are protected and our staff are protected. We don't want to be a vector for infection and vice versa. So I think for a variety of things, follow-ups, you can do a lot of things via phone or telephone or video.
True.
I think when you want to start doing some major stuff, I think, at least for me, I would prefer.
Makes sense.
I think it would work well as a triage. So it's like the first interaction that you can have with them, and then you can filter out where, no, you really need to come in. Let's schedule in. If you've taken most of the information down, when they come in, the process is much more efficient and faster.
I agree, and we've seen that. Actually, I just had somebody yesterday with the same situation. I was talking to them on the phone. They were saying something. I looked at their test. It was saying something else, and the two things were just not. They're not.
Yeah.
I was like, look, you got to come in. I mean, I can't, I can't figure this out on the phone. And, your test says something different. This doesn't make any sense. Like, I got to see you to know. And actually, I saw him yesterday, and he actually needs an operation. So we booked him on. He's getting one on Monday.
Oh, no way. No way. Okay. Cool. Now, obviously, again, I'm going to try, just for everyone to know. So in your specialty, you're generally dealing with arteries, with veins, and the lymphatic system. Is that the correct terminology? Am I sounding?
That's correct.
All right.
That's good.
See, you're impressed now.
Sounds masterful. What do you think?
Masterful. now, I know there's been like a lot of development towards minimally invasive therapies or surgeries. Now, are you a big proponent of that? And just for everyone to know, so the difference, what they consider as minimally invasive is generally like cath labs. It's where they're going in through an endoscopy kind of method or a small pinhole incision, right?
Endovascular, endovascular,
as opposed to cracking someone open, as you just said, right? So now, how's your split between the two? Are you spending more time in the cath labs or in the ORs?
So we do the minimally invasive stuff, which is what we call endovascular. We do that actually in an OR. It's in a hybrid lab.
Okay, in a hybrid lab.
But that lab is fitted to allow you to convert back and forth as necessary. So you can do a lot of that in a cath lab, or you can do it in an OR that's equipped to do that. And so our facility here is equipped to do that. I'd say it's probably 60-40. Endo, which is minimally invasive, which is actually very unusual. Most places are around 80-85% endo.
Okay.
Yeah, so a lot of places don't do a lot of open anymore, just because either they're not experienced enough or they're not comfortable enough. We fortunately over here we have a very big open practice, and we're a referral center. So a lot of places in the community that won't do it will send it to us,
to you guys,
and at least geographically over here, we take care of a lot of that. So that is an unusual breakup.
Interesting.
We do a lot of.
And are you a fan of it? Like, do you see that as the way forward? Do you see that more of that's going to happen, less of the invasive stuff?
I think minimally invasive is the way forward. I think the question is, what's the durability of all that? And we have a lot of studies looking at that nowadays. But it's also patient driven. It's consumer driven. My example, because a lot of people don't know much about vascular, and so my example is this: you have a heart attack. Do you want to go have a heart stent and go home the next day, or do you want to have your chest open and have a heart bypass and then recover for 8 weeks at home?
Yeah.
Same thing. So same scenario. So, but I feel like when I make that analogy, people will understand that a little bit easier. You'd rather get what you have to have done and get back to your normal life as soon as possible.
True, with the hopes that the outcome is just as good, though, right? I wouldn't want to sacrifice the outcome just to to avoid getting my chest opened up. Right?
100%, and no physician should do that. I mean, just because it's sexier or shorter or faster, if the outcome is not durable, then you shouldn't be offering that.
Yeah,
and I don't.
Their condition mainly dictates which path you go with.
Absolutely. So if you're a younger person, you're generally going to get more of an open procedure because we know that it's durable, 20, 30 years it lasts, or whatever it may be. Versus if you're older and sicker, the stress of surgery may be a little bit more of a problem. You'll have a hard time dealing with that. So there's two sides to that coin, and people will debate that back and forth. But yeah, durability is the most important thing.
Oh, fair. I'm gonna pull it back now. I'm gonna pull you back into the COVID world once again, and I'm gonna ask you an opinion, right? Because this has been a debate that we've engaged in, and I've engaged with some other people about: is the lockdown necessary? Was it kind of conducted in the right, in the right way, or were we a bit jumpy in the beginning to do the full, complete lockdown? And you can see now a lot of countries. They're trying to follow like examples like Sweden, which is opened up, or always had a kind of a more of a lax approach to it. So where do you stand on that? Are you a proponent of the lockdown, or are you saying that, listen, people need to get out, the high risk individuals, older people, immune sensitive or deficient, you guys stay home, and everyone else go out and take your chances? Like, where do you stand on that?
So, like your master's in public health, I did one too. My focus was on health policy and health education and promotion. And so health, well, the public health guidelines are basically, mitigation, suppression, containment are really important. I think that I personally believe that we should be on lockdown, and I don't think it was aggressive enough.
Oh,
Is
wow.
what I
Okay.
think.
In the
Yeah,
US, I
I don't.
think so, right? Like, here in Dubai, and I've been saying it, in Dubai, we did go quite
Yeah,
aggressive,
Yeah.
right? So they did a full lockdown. You needed a permit to go out. There was limitations on the movements, and it seemed to be quite effective. And those are now slowly being lifted, right? But I think in the US, you guys are still kind of free to
yeah.
move, right?
It's just kind of up in the air here. I think the lockdown is, again. This is a medical or a health decision,
Not an
and that's what.
economical decision.
Everyone keeps talking about the economy. Believe me, we're feeling it too. But what's the point of an economy if you don't have people to be there in the economy? If everyone's dead, what does it matter? It doesn't matter at all. You can't spend anyway if people aren't around to be able to spend. So I use a lot of analogies because I think they make a lot more sense. And it's the same thing. It's like when you go to your doctor and your doctor tells you need to have an operation because you're really sick. You don't argue with him or her. You're like, nah, you know what? As a matter of fact, no. I don't want to do that. We're going to do it this way. It's like, wait a second. So it's the same scenario here. This is a health decision. There are health experts that say, hey, look, this is what has to happen. This is what we modeled. We don't know 100%. Nobody knows 100%. But based on all of our collective experience and our collective wisdom
Yeah.
and our education, we believe this is to be the safest thing forward. Now,
You need to. Sorry, I'm gonna interrupt you for a second. You need to stop banging on your table.
oh,
We're
sorry.
sensing all
My
your pressure. We're hearing all this background noise. All right.
bad.
I know it's
But
emotional. I know it's emotional for you, man.
it's an emotional time. Now,
So tell
I
us.
think you're. I just think I think that's important. That for people to remember that. And I don't think anyone wants this. None of us want this.
Yeah.
It's just what I think is what has to happen. And I think at some point we need to start slowly opening up again. I believe that, of course, we got to get back to normal.
Yeah.
So the way it generally works is this: is that you have something that is a problem. You have a cluster, and we call it an epidemic.
Yeah.
There's a cluster that goes on as an epidemic. If it becomes extremely widespread, very widespread, even on a international or global scale, it becomes a pandemic.
Yeah.
And that affects everybody. And then what ends up the next stage after that is you either contain it or deal with it. Or if you can't deal with your epidemic that became a pandemic, then the disease or the pathology becomes endemic, which means it's here to stay. Now it's just our job to learn how to deal with it.
Yeah.
You got to go about your day and learn how to deal with it. With a lot of chronic diseases that are very prevalent or other infectious diseases that are relatively prevalent, like HIV, AIDS, and so forth. I mean, they're here to stay. We just figure out how to work around them. And I suspect that's what's going to be with this at some point.
Interesting.
I mean, we talked about that where there is no blueprint for this type of pandemic. I don't think any country or any health system is prepared for it. And I think from a medical standpoint, we needed this lockdown to figure out what's going on, prepare for extreme cases, anybody in critical care or ICUs or any of the ventilators.
Yeah, and to allow the hospitals, some of the countries to kind of ramp up and be ready for it,
For
and
sure.
have the infrastructure to cope.
Well, yeah. I
Right?
mean,
I think
that's the. I mean, so there is obviously it's unprecedented, right? The previous time something like this was the 1918 flu. What they call the Spanish flu.
Yeah.
Which is a misnomer, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys know that. I mean, it's not actually a Spanish flu per se, but they called it the Spanish flu because it was at the time of World War One or around that time, and in order to keep morale of the country, they were censoring the amount of people that had the flu. And one of the very few places that did not have censorship of the press was Spain. So the numbers in Spain were huge and huge and huge and
So
huge.
they just dumped it on them.
They called it the Spanish flu, but it wasn't. It was everywhere else. It's just that people, were censoring it because they're like, oh my God, if we know that in the United States or the UK the numbers are so high, everyone's morale is. I mean, what's the point of us dealing with this or that? Everything's so bad. So that's why it got the name the Spanish flu. But it's actually not a Spanish flu at all. But
Okay.
similarly, like the H1N1, the SARS,
Yeah.
COVID-1, the MERS, Middle East respiratory virus, same thing, were similar to this, but this was obviously on a much larger and much more infectious and contagious scale, no doubt.
Well, the thing is, you know, our travel habits from 1920 to now have changed as well, where people are traveling across the globe much faster, um, much more than the usual. So the spreading will be much higher as well.
Right. No, yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, people are in so much more close contact. You can go from one place to the next much quicker. You're right. And that's the problem. That's the whole concept of contact tracing and how to find people that. And that's why putting everybody on lockdown or shutting everything down for a little bit is going to be painful for everybody, no doubt. But hopefully that way you can help mitigate that. And, we talk about flattening the curve.
Yeah.
The goal really is to allow um, us to us when I say healthcare, I mean to have enough resources to deal with the
Absolutely.
problem. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? That's the issue. People that get on the vent usually are on the vent for around 3 weeks, 21 days, and that's a long time
It
to
is
be
a
on a
long
vent.
time.
That's a very long time to be on a vent. And so that means that ventilator is now used up for 3 weeks. And so you don't have another ventilator. So you got to wait one guy gets on a vent or one guy or girl gets on a vent. Then you got to wait 3 weeks before that vent's available. And
Wow.
the mortality is high if you're on a vent.
Yeah. Now, are you seeing a lot of younger people? This is a big thing, right? A lot of people have that feeling like, 60 and above, as long as I'm not in that age bracket, I'm cool. Is that
So we haven't seen a lot of younger people per se, but that's not to say that that isn't the case. I mean, I have a lot of colleagues around the country and around the world that see a lot of younger people. But the point is, even though may not get sick, even though you may not get sick, you as any age can be a vector to transmit it.
Yeah, of course.
That's
Exactly.
the problem.
Yeah.
So, that's the issue. Is it's dealing with. We talk about all these sick people. You talk about the numbers earlier on, the media, but the numbers are super high, but they're way higher for the infected and not necessarily the dead. So the point is, there's a high rate. Not everyone gets super sick, but a lot of people have the virus,
Yes.
and so that's the whole point. You can continue to transmit this to other people, even if you're asymptomatic or unknowingly, which is a problem.
Yeah, it's interesting. It is an interesting thing, and it's a big debate. And I think a lot of people that talk about the economy and the economic implications are also saying that that in itself can create additional health impact, right? Like
Right.
people going into poverty, the stress, the depression, all these other kind of conditions that are an outcome of being unemployed or being marginalized in such a situation. So
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, the economic and mental and financial impact of this is going to be unprecedented. I mean, I'm not going to even try to guess about all that. That's going to be. There's no doubt about that. We're feeling it all ourselves. I mean, we have
exactly.
lots of people that we know that are being furloughed, losing their jobs, the unemployment. Again, I'm talking specifically in the United States because those numbers are pretty dramatic over here. But I'm sure that's felt around the world.
Yep.
But again, it's a health decision. It's a health
Yeah.
decision. I think when the two curves or the two lines cross, where it's like health wise, it's safe enough and economies, hurting. I think that's when you should start discussing it. But on the uptick, I just don't think it's safe.
So you think it's definitely in the U.S. setting right now, in your setting right now, it's way too early to start easing things up. That's the vibe that we're getting.
Currently right now in summer, like, so Michigan's an epicenter, so we're ours is very high, but our curve is flattening. So I don't think it's unreasonable to slowly start thinking about loosening things down a little bit. You know what I mean? I don't think it's unreasonable to do that, but I think that up front it should have been more aggressive.
Fair.
It's one of those. But I think now our in Michigan, our stay-at-home orders were just extended, like I said yesterday or day before yesterday, were extended for another 2 weeks till the end of May, even though we were supposed to open up on the 15th.
So how are you keeping yourself busy during these stay at home? Are you staying at home? Are you listening to the orders other than coming to the office?
Yeah, I mean, like, it doesn't. I don't want to say that it doesn't really affect me all that much because we're technically, I mean, by society, not by me, but by society, we're considered essential workers. So so
I like how you put that disclaimer. Not by me,
I'm just
I'm
saying.
not some
I'm just
conceited
saying.
bastard.
I'm just saying. I mean, I'm just like that's what I'm just doing what they tell us to do. They tell me I'm essential, so uh,
I like it.
so we have, unfortunately, not to joke around too much, but the virus doesn't know ethnicity or religion or color or race or anything, and it sure as hell doesn't respect your weekends and holidays and nights. So,
True.
we're still coming in as we need to. Obviously, like I said, a lot of the elective, non-emergent stuff has been postponed.
Yeah.
Even though we started opening up this past week, slowly. We started opening.
Cool, man. So now you've been. How long have you been a doctor now? When we first met, you were still in school, weren't you? In Ireland, right?
Yeah, I was training. Yeah.
So me and Dr. Nick go way back. We actually, the first time we met, I had just moved to Bahrain. It was maybe, I don't know, the first or second week I was there, and I was at my business partner's place. Shout out Yusuf Fakhro. And I see this guy sunbathing on the pool, sitting there reading I don't know what the hell you were reading, something really well above my abilities, right? And then we just started chatting up.
So he was your probably inspiration to become a master.
Well, definitely there is
deep down inside.
There is deep down inside.
Yeah. They're deep rooted. They're deep rooted.
I want to be that guy.
So how long have you been practicing now? It's been a long time.
I've been practicing up here for 6 years up in this spot over here. Okay. I've been out for a while. It's been busy. It's been challenging, but it's been good. It's been good. It's been good. Well, it's been a minute since I've been back your way.
I know. I was just trying to think, when was the last time I seen you, man? I seen you.
That was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. So do you come back to the region at all, or you just stay?
No, I mean, it's my goal is to come back and visit. I just haven't been unable to. And then now with these restrictions, only God knows.
Yeah, it's even crazier, right?
I mean, I'm not even sure I want to get on a plane, actually.
Well, this is we were talking about that as well, man. I was saying that even if I felt comfortable getting on the plane, my problem is what's waiting for me on the other side, right? So whether that's hotels, hotel rooms, interactions with people randomly, like, man, not every place is running in the exact same speed, right? So
no. You definitely start tripping. You start wondering about a whole bunch of different stuff, and you're like not sure. Things that you never thought about before. Now you worry about them
for sure.
And I think up front that it's important. I think to be somewhat not skeptical, but have to be careful. I think up front because the thing is real. It's I think it's far removed from a lot of people, particularly if you're not a healthcare person. But for healthcare people, it's real. It's real. I mean, it's real. It's real.
So again, coming back to why I was asking you about how long you've been doing it, I'm sure through your time, you've seen some crazy shit, right? I'm sure, right?
Oh.
So
I mean, there's stuff I don't know. I can tell you all stuff on the air, but I have seen some crazy stuff.
Look, the wonders of the internet is that it allows you to be free. You can say whatever the hell you want. There's no censorship on this, man. So you can give it to us. But yeah, obviously within the confines of you're not saying names of people or things like that.
Right. Oh yeah.
But yeah, what's some of the crazy things that you see, what you experience, man? Things during the time when you were studying up until now.
Oh man, there was all. I mean, we see all kinds of traumas. We've seen all kinds. I mean, So first of all, the disclaimer is, crazy. Crazy is a very relative term. Things that you guys think may be crazy are probably normal for me. You know what I mean? Like from the stuff that we. So my crazy is probably way different than your crazy.
So crazy to the power of 5, like for you in your world, right? So
probably, I mean, we've seen, I think we've spoken about this before, but we've seen obviously all kinds of ruptured organs. We've seen broken type organs.
You just reminded me. Now I remember the story. So.
Which one are we talking about? We're talking about
the water. I think the analogy you gave me at the time was the water hose. Was kind of your depiction of how that scenario played out.
Water hose.
Yeah, we saw. Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. It was a traumatic. It was basically a traumatic penile fracture. Yeah, I think that's the. Yeah, I
Would
think
it be called a fracture? Is that a fracture? Is it because
it's actually called a fracture, even though it's not a bone. Even though I guess all guys think it's a bone, but it's really not a bone; it's a muscle.
yeah.
But you can, in fact, actually fracture it. And the outer layer is called the tunica albuginea, and then if that breaks and fills up with blood, then it can be a problem. I think that I want to refine that hose analogy to maybe like a pretzel. Like a pretzel.
Oh, is it?
You know
Is
what I'm
it? Is it like that? It's like a pretzel. It's like
Yeah.
a pretzel.
It's freak everybody
So
out.
what, do you stitch it or do you let it heal? Or
Actually, you know what? I could tell you that you have to drain a lot of blood first, but after that, actually, there's people that are dedicated in that urologists, and so we don't do those anymore. That goes out of our
your
wheel.
world.
yeah,
That's it. Yeah, that's for somebody else.
Man, you know that right now, every male person that's
cringing.
watching this right now is all like,
Crazy. It's crazy. Well, that can happen. Yeah, it can happen. Yes,
it's real.
that stuff is real too. It's as real as the corona.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
it's
saying?
as real as the corona. The disclaimer of the day, guys: take it easy when you're doing your thing with your lady friends or your male friends. Take it easy. It can happen. It can break, man.
Easy.
It can break.
Take it easy. That thing is you got to baby that thing.
Go
ahead.
I have one for you. So I have this debate between myself and my wife regarding the keto diet. So say 3-4 years ago, I got into keto, tried it out. First month didn't really follow it properly. Month 2, month 3, month 4, I was strict with it. During that time, I developed these blood clots in my left calf. So the vein in my calf started like
The varicose vein style thing.
started
First of all,
swelling.
guys,
Oh, I'm sorry.
guys,
Yeah.
I know what a blood clot in the vein is.
So she thinks keto has something to do with it.
Give it to us, man.
Yeah.
Is
Give it
there
to
a
us.
relation between that and your diet? What, because it's a high fat diet. I cut out the carbs.
So no, I actually am not aware of that actually. So I'm not aware of any particular link or association with being what's called VT, venous thromboembolism, and keto diets. Actually, I'm not aware of that. I'd have to see if there's any new literature about that, but I don't think so. Now, if you don't keep yourself hydrated, you're not exactly active and so forth, there's a variety of other things that can predispose to that, but it'd be relatively unusual. And then do you know it was a blood clot, or is it what you think it was a blood clot?
I went to the doctor. He's like, okay, take these blood thinners that will eventually destroy that blood clot, and you should be fine.
So they did an ultrasound of your leg and all that?
Yes, they did. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So a lot of times, a lot of people. Okay, so that makes sense. But a lot of people will, if you have a clotted varicose vein, a lot of people will call that a blood clot in your vein, and that's not in fact
It's not the right
true.
term. It's not the correct term.
No.
Yeah.
So the clots in your veins, which is known as a DVT, stands for deep vein thrombosis, which is a deep vein of the leg. Now that's not a varicose vein. If you have a clot in the deep vein, that's a big deal. I mean, that needs to be treated on blood thinners. If you have varicose veins and those clot off, that's not a problem. That's actually the only thing you're supposed to do for that is a warm compress and something like an anti-inflammatory, like ibuprofen or something.
Yeah.
But if they in fact identify it in the deep veins, then you need to be on a blood thinner, and that's unusual.
No, I
see a lot of people do.
I remember DVT.
I think keto. Yeah, you remember DVT?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that's unusual. I mean, you shouldn't be getting that for male at a young age. It's unusual.
Thank you for thinking I'm young.
I'm just saying. Are you wearing compression socks?
I did, but it's gone. It's no longer there.
Yeah.
It's not an issue. It's only happened on the left leg. I used to get it before keto. That's why I was arguing with her. I'm like, no, I used to get it from before, but it wasn't that big of a deal. But then it got to a point where it was painful.
That's
around the calf.
What blood thinner do you take? Just that.
It's been a while. Over 4 years. I don't remember.
So now, can I call you a blood clot? Is that an appropriate term?
As long as I can call you a bumba clot.
Hold on a second.
Oh,
blood clot.
I was waiting. I was holding that one back. I was just saving it, wanting you to finish just to say it.
Big up.
So, guys, the reason why I got up, so everyone knows, as we're going through our teething problems, just making sure that the cameras and everything are operating. We're good. So we're slowly going through this. So yeah, man, Dr. Nick is one of my really old friends, man. So
That's amazing.
So yeah,
How
it's
long have you
pretty
guys known
amazing.
each other?
2005.
Wow.
2005. But we don't get a lot of opportunity to see each other. We don't stay in touch as much. So it was a really good excuse.
Thank you, Corona.
Well, this is it. Thank you, Corona. Gave us a reason, and thanks to the podcast, gave me a reason to reach out.
Not to discount the seriousness of Corona, but one of the positive things I realized the other day is we don't have any more traffic.
Amazing.
No more rush hour traffic.
I'm loving.
Thank you, Corona.
No traffic, and I'm loving. I'm sure there's a lot of positive things to the environment as
Definitely.
well, right?
There is a lot of great things for the environment. There's no more pollution.
Yeah.
You can see. Are you seeing all the videos and the pictures now around the world?
It's
Where
crazy.
you can see like
Himalayas?
Venice, the Himalayas, and like in Venice, there's like dolphins in the
Yeah, there's dolphins.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I don't know. It's nice to see some nice stuff every now and then. So sorry guys, I thought they were calling me overhead. I couldn't hear.
No worries at all.
So yeah. Other than you, okay, do you subscribe to any of these diets? So since we got on the whole diet thing, you know, and Laith is big on he did the keto. I like intermittent fasting. Where do you stand on all these things?
I like the keto. I think it works, but I think you have to be. And I mean, and you know, I'm not saying I've done keto long term, but I think you got to be very careful about some of the dieting fads that are out there. And I'm saying that actually from a medical perspective. So like we've had several people that are on these new diets, keto in particular, some of these super low carb ones, and you know, and the diet is supposed to be for 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
Or 3 to 5 months, or whatever it may be, you know. And so some people are like, well, they have a great response the first 2-3 months, and so they want to keep pushing it.
Keep going.
Yeah,
And keep pushing it. So, sorry, they keep pushing it, and so what ends up happening is actually it's now 5, 6, 7 months in, and they come in and they're losing all their hair.
Yeah.
Because you become malnourished.
Yeah.
Because like it's supposed to be for just a few months or whatever it is. So you got to be careful if it's you try this for 3 weeks on, then 2 weeks off, 3 weeks on, 2 weeks. I mean, you got to kind of follow that because after a while you end up just straight up being malnourished. You start losing you don't keep up minerals and vitamins and so forth, and so it ends up being a little bit of an issue. So I caution people on that kind of stuff.
What's interesting for me was when I was reading up about keto and I read that it was initially developed to battle or was found to be quite effective with epilepsy with children, right? Is that kind of how it was initially derived or utilized? Was they found it to be very effective in reducing seizures? So
I've read some stuff about that. I'm not sure how it exactly came out to be, but I understand. So I'm a biochemist by nature, by education. I mean, and so I can understand how low carb and things like that along the cascading events, biochemistry work. But specifically with regards to seizure type activity, I can't comment on that. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how it came out to be.
yeah.
But I can tell you though that the results are great. I mean, you obviously drop carbs. You're definitely gonna shred. And you're gonna shred a lot for sure. How long you're able to maintain that is a different story, and then it's also very difficult to say no to some fries.
Well, this is it, and I think people don't understand that. Like, just as a point, and again, I'm not an expert, but I think I'm kind of well read about this. Is that
you're an expert, but you're not an expert, but you're a master.
I'm a master. Yes, I like it. Even I got Dr. Nick saying it. So no, is that people need to differentiate between what they call a modified Atkins, so a low carb, but not a keto level low carb, because people don't understand to get into a state of ketosis, you have to go to a very extreme level of low carbs, like in the range of what is it, like 20 to 30 maximum grams per day.
Yeah.
So don't get those two confused, right? Your body is not in ketosis if you're just on a low carb diet. You really need to go to the extreme to qualify, and it takes time for your body to go into ketosis. So you need to be on the diet for 2 weeks, and you boost yourself out the second you have a bowl of pasta. And I think people need to understand, differentiate between those two things.
Yeah, I think you can. I think doing it a little bit here and a little bit there really does not put you in a state of ketosis.
Exactly.
So you either got to be all in or not. But like I said, I caution people, just make sure that it can't go on indefinitely. That is supposed to be a intermittent thing or a phased thing, but you can't. Or I guess there are people who do it long term, but you got to be very careful about that.
But they micro, like they count every single calorie, every single protein, every single fat that's going into
Yeah,
their system.
just as long as you're getting your appropriate minerals and
Yeah,
vitamins, I think
exactly.
you're fine. But like a lot of people just cut everything out and then think you'll be fine. You're basically starving yourself,
Yeah.
which you can do for a couple of days, but then at some point it becomes problematic.
for me, mainly it was the energy level. So my energy spiked through the roof, and it was maintained throughout the day.
Really?
Yeah, with carbs, I have the carb crash within an hour or two after eating.
Yeah,
On
so with,
keto,
you just get a nice
I'm consistent throughout the day.
yeah, a level feeling. So I don't know. Yeah, I've heard that. I mean, I tried to do keto, but it was too challenging, man. To be honest, like
Too
it was just
restrictive.
I
It
mean,
is.
so unnatural. Like the amount of
yeah.
fat that you're taking
Yeah.
in is just it's absurd, right? So it was a little bit of a challenge. But you're talking about intermittent, and obviously I'm gonna segue into intermittent fasting. How do you feel about that? Like I've heard a lot of really good things. Are they? Is it true? So they say like helps with cellular regeneration, helps in some cases with type 2 diabetes to
Immunity.
reverse
Yeah.
by settling your insulin levels. Is that factual? Is that real true
Yeah, so
science?
I don't know that it's the true science. I know I know multiple people that are doing it. They have great results, but I really can't comment, about the exact science nature of that. I'm not certain actually. There's a lot of stuff either which way, but I can't say that I've researched it enough to
Have
be
you
able
done
to
it?
give
Have
a.
you personally done it? Intermittent fasting? You ever try it?
I no, I can't bring myself to like just not eat.
Breakfast?
I
You're a
can't.
breakfast guy?
Yeah, I'm. I have
Cereal? Cereal, eggs? Uh-oh.
no, I'm yeah, I'm
We're
like an egg kind of.
you're an egg kind of guy. Okay, good. No, me, to be honest, I did it and I have done it for quite a long time. Probably, let's say pretty consistently, about 70-80% of my days over the last 4 years or so. I've been doing intermittent fasting at 16 by 8. So I generally, my last meal of the day is around 8 p.m. And then I break my fast at noon. So obviously, I drink a lot of water. I do drink black coffee during that fasted state, but nothing that will spike the insulin. So no sugar, no carbs, none of that
Have
stuff.
you noticed any results? I mean,
Oh,
how do you
absolutely.
feel?
Like I feel really good. I got very used to it, and to be honest, like I feel it does control the waist for sure, right? If I do it
Yeah.
consistently for a couple of weeks, it definitely slims me down. And just by nature, by default, you imagine that your window of eating is less, so by default you eat less, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So
Like I said, I have a lot of friends that have done it and they have great results. It's just not realistic. I mean, at least for me in my line of work, like it's
Yeah.
impossible because there's no predictability.
yeah,
Some days are very long, some days don't end. Some days we're at work for 35, 36, 38 hours and we don't even go home.
yeah,
So it's just impossible. I mean, I guess we don't eat when you're operating, obviously, but
yeah.
when you're done, you want to get something to eat usually, or you're not sure when your next time is going to be that you eat. So you end up overeating or snacking a lot. I think that tends to be
But
the
dude,
cause.
you just said something. It stresses me out whenever I hear doctors or people in healthcare say that. When you start talking crazy hours, 30 hours, 35 hours, man, I don't know. My decision making gets jacked up
Yeah.
after 18 hours. The thought of someone inside me messing with me, like life and death, literally. And this guy's been on 20, whatever, like completely sleep deprived.
This is when you go from
I'd be
master to
concerned.
PhD.
No, I'd be concerned. Like, I don't know. I don't know how
That's
you
the
feel about that.
difference.
Like, I'm sure it
Well,
must impact your performance, right?
Well, there's no doubt that it takes a toll. I mean, but we're trained that way. But of course, if there's at any point that we feel that it's not safe or that we're not feeling safe, then you don't do it. Absolutely not. I mean, you actually ask a partner to come take over, and that's not an unusual thing at all. Sometimes, some nights you get, destroyed and you're very busy. You got a lot of things going on. The next day you just can't do what you need to do, so you cancel your elective cases, you cancel your clinic. I mean, obviously, patient care is most important thing first
Yeah.
and safety. And so if you're unable to take care of that, then you really just don't. And it doesn't happen very often. I mean, you maybe get a lot of phone calls overnight, but to be working straight for 35, 38 hours straight is extremely, extremely unusual. And like I said, there's always support to assist with that as much as you can.
Was that something that you used to experience a little bit more in your younger days when you were initially starting, where you used to do longer hours, or is that something that's just been continuous through
Yeah,
the whole experience?
yes, I think before, and that's primarily because of your comfort level, your decision making. Now okay, this is what needs to happen. You do what you need to do, and you're done. Before you're like, well, I want to do this, I want to do that, and they're all right answers. They're not like they're wrong, but it's just a matter of which one do you decide. So, I think obviously the more experienced you become, the easier it is for you to do with anything.
Of
So I
course.
think your time start to get shorter and shorter.
I have one for you. How do you pick a certain niche within the medical sector? So you obviously do your understudy.
Man, hold up. I'm gonna bring this up. I remember having this conversation and we were talking and you were debating doing plastics. And I was telling you, man, go into freaking plastics, bro. Right? Go into
but like, you know what I
sell
mean?
your soul. Forget helping people. Help people look good. You know what I mean?
So going from, oh, I'm going to be a plastic surgeon, or I'm going to be the guy that fixes the penile fractures. How is that decision made?
How's that decision?
Well, definitely not the latter for sure. When you do a whole bunch of training, you end up finding stuff that you just become more interested in. So I don't really have a good answer other than I was just mesmerized with vascular. The stuff there is extremely high risk patients, very difficult, technically extremely challenging. Operations, and there is a wide variety, like we were talking about earlier on the call. You can go from minimally invasive stuff to maximally invasive stuff to medical management. So the day is never the same.
Yeah.
And then what I tell my students or my residents is everything has a blood supply. So so you can operate one day in the neck, one day in the arm, one day in the chest, one day in the leg, one day in the toe. Open, closed, endo. There's all these other options. So the variety in the case mix is extremely interesting. But of course, you have to know a lot now because there's so many things you need to know because
The
you
knowledge
can be
base.
anywhere.
Yeah.
And then you have to also be involved in a lot of other specialties, including plastics or including people with penile fractures because there's blood supplies there. So sometimes they call you to come repair stuff. So it's never boring. The only issue with it is that, as we said earlier, everything needs a blood supply. So when you don't have a blood supply, you got to fix it quickly. So there's a lot of emergencies. And that's
Interesting way of looking at it.
that can make it tough for most people. Is everything needs to be taken care of quickly.
Man.
Plus, we deal with clots too. By the way.
Oh, you deal with clots as well. So I'm dealing with a blood clot, and you deal with blood clots as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we do. Oh yeah. For sure.
Man, I'm telling you something about Nick. Do you remember the game Guitar
Hero?
Was it Guitar Hero?
Guitar Hero. I love that game. Guitar Hero. Rock Band.
Rock Band. That's what it was.
Band.
Rock Band.
Yeah.
Man, I have seen quite a bit of people play that game, but man, watching Dr. Nick on that thing was like mesmerizing.
Well, he's a surgeon.
I know, it was mesmerizing to see his dude. Like he'd put it on the most hard level, and he'd just be like going through it. Man, it was unreal. So do you still you still make time for video games? You still
unfortunately not that kind of time anymore. But that was super fun. I mean, those are great.
Yeah,
it's such a great game.
It is
expert level.
It is, but it was wild to see him do it.
That's amazing.
So pretty cool. Look, Dr. Nick, man, honestly, it's been a pleasure. It's just been awesome just to see you again, man. I really appreciate you giving time up from your crazy schedule and showing us some love, man. It's really cool. Really, really cool.
Much love, man. Thank you guys, for real. Actually, I have a question for you guys.
Tell me.
Laith, what the pots behind you? I want to know what that's about. I want to know. What is that?
I think Amir can answer that question because it's his wall, not mine.
This is my wall, so it's just decorative pieces. They were done by my brother-in-law's wife. So it's a really phenomenal gift that they gave us. It's really nice. Really enjoyed it.
It's super cool. I've never seen it before. So
yeah, this is the touch, man. This is my wife's touch. Shout out to Besma and her amazing skills. So
what up?
Let's wrap it up. Thanks, guys, for joining us on another episode of Stay in Your Lane. Please subscribe, down there. Hit us up with a like and watch out for more videos in the future. Hopefully, we keep pumping these babies out and you guys show us some love.
Thank you, Dr. Nick.
Thank you very
Shout
much.
Thank you guys.
Take care.
Guys.
All
Be
the best.
safe.
Take care.
Cheers.
Peace.